Alright, so the new show Velma released just last weekend, and it is now the most popular thing on the internet. But not in the good way. Ha, you thought I was talking about something good? Only once in a lifetime. Anyways, back in 2021, a new Scooby-Doo show was announced. And no, I didn't really care. Like most people. You know, because it's Scooby-Doo. Alright, look, I'm not saying Scooby-Doo was bad or anything, but there's like a new Scooby-Doo movie released every year. I bet you didn't know that. Yeah. There is. What kind of Scooby-Doo fan are you, huh? The full show then released on January 12th, 2023, and by full show, I mean only 2 episodes. And it was probably for the better. The show was made by Charlie Grandy. I don't really know who that is. Apparently he was a comedian. Yeah. With the main star of the show, Velma, being voiced by Mindy Kaling. Apparently, you know, that girl in The Office. And that's pretty much how this show blew up. A popular actor voiced a popular character, and then we get this popular show. By the way, that doesn't mean it's good. Obviously, by this point, there are hundreds of videos just straight up ripping into Velma, and I agree with them. In my opinion, Velma represents literally everything wrong with television. Down to the stories, the characters, the plots, and the entire show itself. When I first saw Velma, I found it akin to shows like Family Guy, which you might be thinking, sounds like a good thing. But I mean that in the bad way. I also mean recent Family Guy, not old Family Guy, okay? And by that I mean, every character is a humongous Seriously, it is so hard to root for the protagonist of her own show when she's just a giant asshole. She's snarky, self-centered, hypocritical, and the worst crime of all, unfunny. And what makes this even worse is that literally every character in the show is just like this, except for Shaggy. He's just kinda there. Oh wait, I'm sorry, his name's Norville, because everyone knows that. I'm very sorry to the Scooby-Doo community. It's not a great sign when I can take all of Velma's personality traits, mix and match them together, pull another character's name out of a hat, and then match those personality traits with them. Because they're all the same. What's great about cartoon characters is that you can make up who they are, their personalities, how they act, but nope, everyone in Velma's the same. It used to be in other shows that you could just take all the characters and they'd all have their different personalities. One would probably be angry, sad, happy, you get the gist of it. Everyone's different. Velma kind of reminds me of movies from the early 2000s, because around that time there was this kind of snarky and cynical feel. What I mean by that is, imagine a different cast of characters. There's always going to be that cynical, kind of snarky, self-centered one, right? Now just imagine everyone's the cynical, self-centered person. And that was the early 2000s. You're welcome. Moving away from how everyone acts in the show, let's just take a look and see who our characters are. By that I mean important characters. Huh, that's weird, there's no one here. Alright, so the 4 are Shaggy, Norville, Daphne, and Fred. Now you might be wondering, where's Scooby? You know, Scooby-Doo? Well, basically the producer said that he was too childish. You know, for this very mature adult animated comedy. I mean, a talking dog, we've never seen that on an adult TV show. Also, this is kind of out of nowhere, but why Velma? Like, out of these 4 characters, why Velma? Why the nerdy version who's always left alone? I mean, wow, I've never seen this type of character before. I mean, Velma is such a 2D character. Oh, it's so funny because Velma's 2D because she's a cartoon. Norville is kind of like the love interest, I think, but he's also kind of the comic relief character. The only thing I like about Norville is that he actually has a different personality from everyone else, and by that I mean he's not a complete asshole all the time, so that's cool. But apart from that, he's just kind of a background character. Next we have Daphne, who's kind of like the antagonist to Velma. I don't really know, their relationship is extremely weird. Like they used to be friends, but now they're not. I don't care. And then we have Fred, who's basically the punching bag of the show. And he's also the only one who's the same ethnicity from the original series. So there's that. Speaking on the topic of ethnicity, I don't really know why they changed the ethnicity of all the other characters. My guess is so that the show appears more woke and diverse and appears on news outlets, where the only discussion is that, oh my god, there was a gay character. And look, if a new original show was released and there was a gay, straight, black, white, Asian character, it wouldn't matter, because those are new and original characters. Why does it matter so much that you change the race of these cartoon characters? And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what race or sexuality the character is. As long as they're well written, that's all you need. And this kind of ties into the issue with diversity in TV and media. I recall one time I saw a post that a woman had swam across the entire English Channel. Pretty amazing feat. but the article about it only focused on the fact that she was a woman who had done this. The media and attention around it was only focused on who she was and not what she did. She wasn't praised for swimming across the English Channel, she was praised because she was a woman that swam across the English Channel. And that happens so much nowadays. It's like first Asian man lands on the moon. First black guy climbs up Mount Everest. It basically desensitizes the feat they had done and just focuses on their sexuality or ethnicity. I mean, it sounds way cooler when it's like first person on the moon, first person to climb Mount Everest. It needs to be about what they did and not who they are. Woo! Sorry about that long tangent. Alright, back to Velma. From what we have, aka the first 2 episodes, basically the main idea of Velma is that it shows these characters slightly younger than they are in the original series, and goes into the backstory of how they became Mystery Incorporated. Well, it mainly goes into the backstory of Velma, you know, because that's what the show's called. Basically, she's trying to solve the mystery of where her mom is and why all these teenage girls keep dying. Meanwhile, I'm over here trying to solve the mystery of why I'm still watching this bum-ass show. Both are mysteries that probably won't be solved for a while. And then hijinks ensue because it's just your run-of-the-mill adult animated comedy. Another thing a lot of people hate about this show is the humor. Now, don't get me wrong, humor is subjective, but if you find this show funny, I think you need to go through a mental exam. Basically, all the jokes are, oh, this character is saying something while something serious is going on. Or characters saying stuff like, no Sherlock, or oh, obviously Brainiac, or they'll try to be meta. It's just so bad. Like I said in my South Park video, the best humor comes in the dialogue between the characters, not humor that's just completely shoveled in for the plot. That's kind of an issue I've had with Family Guy's humor because they just mainly bring up celebrities.
Matthew McConaughey is terrible.
The comedy's at its best when it's through the dialogue and it feels natural. Moving over to the animation side of the show, it's whatever. Yeah, it does kind of retain some of that Family Guy-esque art style with stilted animation, but it does have some pretty nice looking shots and some fluid moments. Also, sometimes the lighting looks pretty good. And that's probably the most praise I can give this show, because other than that, it's just kind of boring. The plots and stories just aren't interesting in the slightest. I've seen it 1,000 times before in any other form of media. The characters are supposed to be friends, but they don't even treat each other like friends. And in general, the characters are just unlikable and just extremely boring. Nothing stands out about any of them. This feels like a show that was just made for money, and yeah, it obviously was made for money. I mean, look at it. The go-to thing nowadays to have a hit TV show isn't even to make your own TV show, just reuse a property from like the 80s or 90s. Yeah, remember Chip and Dale's Rescue Rangers? The movie? Yeah, me neither. No one wants to see the same stuff over and over again. Just rebooting it won't change anything. It's still the original property. Most people just say, you know what, that show used to be good and now it's over. They don't want to see it again. And most TV producers are like, well, the reboot isn't a direct copy. We're adding new things and changing the style. And by that they mean changing 1 or 2 things that end up proving to be pointless. God, remember the early 2010s of Cartoon Network? How every show was just pretty much a banger that came out? Yeah, once again, going off topic, but like The Amazing World of Gumball, Regular Show, just so many great shows that came out with original storylines and great writing. Yeah, I know those are kids shows, but they can be enjoyed by a variety of different people. You could be 1, you could be 85,000, and you'd still like the episodes. Back then it was like a masterpiece a day, and nowadays it's like a crash and burn every day. With the entirety of YouTube being, this show is the worst, this show is awful. And no, I'm not trying to throw others down right now, I'm literally critiquing Velma. But now it's just kind of rare to see a positive review on a show. Sorry, I mean an animated show. There's been a lot of good other live action shows that have released, but animation's just kind of been struggling recently. It probably doesn't help that Netflix is carpet bombing their animation studio by firing multiple animators. And also, every time there's a good animated show on Netflix, they just get rid of it. Basically, Netflix just doesn't like good shows on their platform. No wonder everyone's leaving. I mean, there are shows like Smiling Friends that are great and are being released by individual creators rather than an entire company. Something that I talked about in my Don't Hug Me I'm Scared video, the most popular video on my channel. Go check it out. I mean, is it hard to make a TV show nevertheless animated? Yeah, it is! Entertaining people through motion pictures is a challenging thing to do. But trust me, the payoff is so much better when the show is actually, good. And is not just an easy cash grab, because in the long run, you'll probably end up making 4 times what you would if the show was shit. And in my opinion, I think independent animators are the future of TV. Well, animated TV shows. They're able to relate to the audience, they know what the audience wants to see, and they're not a huge corporate production, which allows for infinite creativity. Yeah, you might have heard this before, but it's true, and never think otherwise. Yeah, that's right, we're having a serious ending. Here on the Flix channel, we're aiming to have more serious content. What, did you think there'd be a goofy image followed by a Vine boom sound effect? Yeah, I don't think so. Now we're tackling more serious issues and topics.